Bigfoot's real, the truth in you. Science, sense, and grace combined. This is all it's time to shine. Mystery solved, it's time to shine. Squatch-D brings it live. Steve and Chris, they're gonna fly. No stone unturned, the facts alive. Bigfoot's story now defined. Footsteps here and shadows there. In the woods they do prepare. Concepts are like rain. Bigfoot secrets shown today. Sunday night of lights to shine. Sunday night of sunshine. Swan seeds, it's time to shine. Sunday night of lights to shine. Sunday night of lights to shine. Water is all, it's time to shine. Water is all, it's time to shine.
Welcome to Squatch-D TV, where the truth is first before all else. Join your hosts, veteran investigator, TV personality, and author Steve Kulls, and from the Kentucky Bigfoot Research Project and the Kentucky Fried Fixes channel, Chris Bennett. Sit back and prepare to take yourself on a journey with the longest-running Bigfoot podcast, Squatch-D TV. Here are your hosts, Steve and Chris.
And good evening, cyberspace. Welcome to Squatch-D TV for today's date, October 9th, 2024. I'm your host, your guide, the Squatch Detective Steve Kulls, along with my co-host, Mr. Chris Bennett. How are you, sir?
Hey, it's good to see you, man. Hope everything's going for you and okay for you in New York. We've had some really nice weather here lately, but unfortunately, our friends to the south are not getting very nice weather as we speak.
No, it's hitting landfall as we speak. I was watching some of the videos, which could explain why the numbers aren't that great tonight in the live audience, because everybody's keeping an eye on that hurricane.
I'm thinking so. I'm thinking they are too, because I was too. So, but we appreciate everybody that did make it in here with us. We appreciate you guys. It's terrible. I mean, the people in Florida hadn't even got dug out from the first one yet. And here we got another one, and this is what, a category 5, I think, or something like that.
No, I think it's downgraded to a 4.
4? Thank goodness.
Still, that's bad enough.
That's terrible. Right. Yeah. It's terrible when, you go from a 5 to a 4 and it's still horrible,
Well, I don't know if Matt Larson's in Kentucky yet or if he's still in Florida.
I think Matt already made it. I hope.
So.
I think so. But,
And of course, we have a bunch of fans in Florida as well, and we're wishing them all prayers wherever they are.
Be safe. Take care of yourself.
Just unbelievable. That 1-2 punch is not good. And, I was watching some of the Reed Timmer video because he's doing a live feed right now. And, he's a tornado chaser.
Right.
And, the areas you can see the storm surge is starting to, increase now. And, it's amazing because they're driving down the street and you can see ocean waves coming through there. I mean, you see the tide moving with the ocean.
Earlier today, I was looking. They still had where some of the storm surge had not receded yet. They had a lot of flooding, and there were alligators floating around in the middle of the street. So they tell you not to go in the water. Of course, Well, okay, gotcha. Go in there and get eaten by a crocodile. I think I'll stay out and wait on my rooftop.
Yeah.
But everybody just, be safe. Do the best you can.
Yeah, our thoughts and prayers are with you guys.
Yeah.
And I thought tonight would be appropriate to look at Bigfoot versus natural disasters. Of course, a couple of weeks ago, we had done that show about Mount St. Helens.
Right.
And to add insult to injury, um, about 20 miles away from Mount St. Helens is Mount Adams.
Mm.
And this week, the the national whatever service deals with volcanoes, they ended up having to install equipment on Mount Adams because they had gotten 9 earthquakes in Mount Adams in one day, when usually they only get 2 or 3 a month.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's got the
So-
geologist popping out there now, I'm sure.
So there, it may be the beginning of Mount Adams starting to spin up. It's been 3,000 years since its last eruption,
Right.
and they expect it to erupt every 1,800 to 3,000 years. So
Yeah.
it's due.
Yeah, and when those types of volcanoes go, they release some energy because they
Right.
have a very thick, viscous magma that's man, it doesn't flow out gently. It's like kaboom, explosive. Well, yeah, like Mount St. Helens, like half the front face of the mountain came off.
And that was because it had an occluded magma chamber
Right.
that went up to the top.
Yeah.
Now, if that doesn't happen and Mount Adams happens to go, hopefully it'll shoot straight up, and that's where most of the ejecto will
Right.
end up in the atmosphere, and it'll come down in a rather limited area. Whereas with Mount St. Helens, it just pushed it right out.
Yeah.
But
But it's funny how the volcanic eruptions can really have a great impact on the climate. And I can't remember the year, but back in the early American history, there was a year that was known the year without a sun.
it was summer. Yep.
Right, and that was due to a volcanic eruption. Crops failed. People, I'm sure there was starvation. Some people died probably of hunger. But the year without a summer, no growing season. Terrible.
A lot of magma shifted from
Ooh.
Yellowstone to that.
Yikes. They had some dealings was going on in Yellowstone too with the geysers not long ago.
Right. Yep.
They were like
Yeah.
just popping off at unexpected times. Old Faithful became like, whenever she chooses.
Now I'm sure maybe I'll do my Alex Jones voice. Well, it's time for end times. I'm not gonna do my Alex Jones voice. Yes, it's the end times. Yep.
Well, I don't know. I don't live near a volcano, and I don't plan moving near to one at any time soon. The whole time when we went to back in 2007, 2008, we went to Yellowstone, and I wanted to see, Old Faithful, the geyser. And of course, my luck, this is the way, I drove all that way. And then when we get there, it comes like, 18 inches snowfall. So they close the park, the top, where we went in through the top, and they had the visitor center was open, and the hot springs area, of course, is up there next to the visitor center. So that was open. Mammoth Hot Springs, that's the name of it. That was open, but they wouldn't let us go down any further. The roads were closed off. But the whole time we were there, I'm like, checking out of the corner of each eye, because if that thing ever goes, oh wow, half the United States with it.
Well, let's get to our topic today. We'll kind of understand maybe.
Yeah.
A lot of people are popping off that they're wondering, where do the Bigfoots go in like hurricanes? Good question.
Right.
Good question. Hard to say, but the part of Florida that's getting smacked actually now is predominantly the lived-in areas. they're all, of course, Florida is mainly dense around the coast, but in the middle part of the state, the whole part of the state's just town after town after town after city after city. And that's where the brunt of the storm is going, unfortunately. But as with volcanoes, usually, in fact, always what precedes volcanoes is seismic activity. And that's why we had a discussion, a couple of weeks ago saying how, to me, you think you're going to start getting earthquakes. And then you had that very minor eruption Mount St. Helens had. Do you think the Bigfoot are going to stay around? So think of this, that Bigfoot may, Bigfoot is, often thought to have heightened senses or a deep connection with nature. And that's true. If you're out there, you can sense atmospheric pressure changes and maybe vibrations on the ground, of course, the earthquake definitely. It might be able to sense changes in the Earth's vibrations before an earthquake strikes, allowing it to flee to safer ground. Right. That's like anybody that thought that a Bigfoot was going to hang around Mount St. Helens prior to its eruption on May 18th. No, they're out of there. They've been out of there. They're like, nope, this is not good ground.
Right.
Because they could feel those earthquakes, miles away. That they, all the tremors.
Absolutely.
And then we also must have, I think, too, that they may have knowledge of remote areas. They could seek refuge in caves or underground burrows that provide protection from collapsing or surfaces during seismic activity. And, that's going to be, with forest fires, which is another great natural disaster that they may have, is they would likely know how to navigate the dense forests and would seek out less prone areas that are less prone to fire, such as, river valleys or waterways, and etc. Bigfoot might be drawn to natural water sources like rivers, lakes, or streams, which could offer refuge. It could use these water bodies to keep itself hydrated and avoid overheating as well. Because as we know, with these huge forest fires, I don't know if you've ever seen that one video of the law enforcement officers' dash cam going through this fire in Oregon. There is a documentary, I forget, it escapes me, but it was about the wildfires up, I think, in Northern California.
Right.
And you see, it's just unreal with forest fires. You think, a volcano is bad. When you have an out of control forest fire, there's actually the heat from these forest fires will push up with cool air, and they will create fire tornadoes.
Right. Yeah.
And unreal.
Well, I had driven through a forest fire area at one point in California, and the amount of smoke was unbelievable. Yeah. It was very heavy, very thick. So I don't see how anything could have breathed that, for very long. But yeah, Bigfoot and natural disasters. How do they cope? That, I think, that the part you were talking about them sticking with the low-lying areas and riverbeds and streams and stuff, I think that's pretty much common Bigfoot stuff they do anyway.
I think it depends on the type of natural disaster, because we'll talk about other natural disasters where it's more advantageous for them to get to higher ground.
Right.
So I think they're smart enough to realize that, and believe it or not, other animals will instinctually do this as well.
Sure.
That's why you can have a forest fire and it doesn't wipe out every animal in the forest.
Right.
You can have tornadoes and hurricanes, and guess what? The animals still live.
Right.
We wonder, I know I'm going to skip ahead a little bit, but everybody has wondered about, what about the skunk apes in Florida? Has any of the hurricanes, this is very strange because it's like a 1-2 punch. It was just one last week, but Florida gets hurricanes every year. Sometimes they get one, sometimes they get a couple, sometimes they get 3 or 4. It all depends on the seasons. And that's never stopped a population of breeding, the Burmese pythons.
Right.
That's never stopped the pythons. That's never stopped the alligators. Well, all these animals require air.
Yeah.
Just like we do. Granted, they're reptiles. But then again, there's a gibbon population, or there's monkeys that have been released into the wild in the Florida Everglades that no matter you throw disaster after disaster at them, they're still out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Animals have survival skills that we may not have.
And the biggest thing that Florida had, and Jen made a great point, and I'll get to Bill's comment in a second, but Jen said Florida had 130 tornado warnings today, and that's what this kind of storm generates.
Wow.
And there are a lot of tornadoes. And have you ever seen a water spout in Florida? That's pretty phenomenal stuff. It's a tornado over the ocean.
Right.
And usually they fizzle out before they hit land, but every once in a while one hits the ground and wreaks a little bit of havoc on the beach, and they're no more than like usually an F1, sometimes an F2.
Right.
Of course, or EF1 or EF2. That's the enhanced Fujita scale.
Yeah.
So yeah, very fascinating stuff. Let's talk about flooding. Flooding. Bigfoot could be adept at locating higher ground during floods, much like many animals instinctively do. It may avoid low-lying areas to move to mountainous or elevated regions where flooding would be less of a risk. Now, let's also talk about the other thing, too. Given its physical strength and possible aquatic abilities, Bigfoot may be able to swim across rivers and other bodies of water to escape the rising water levels, much like animals that are known to survive floods. Yeah. So, water buffalo will, make their way, and animals will make their way across bodies of water to get to ground that's safer from the flooding.
Right. Well, in Florida, the largest population areas are going to be on the coastlines. So that's probably not where the largest Bigfoot population is.
So, Kaiju Ninja asked a great question. Has there been any reports of Sasquatch bodies being recovered after a hurricane, or any surviving, like the Mount St. Helens stories? And of course, we point out how ridiculous the Mount St. Helens stories are, because most of those people that come up with these stories think that Mount St. Helens rumbled a little bit and then just blew up. It didn't. Had an eruption a month prior, where it did eject an ash cloud, and it melted all the ice on it, causing some flooding in lahars, but not to the extent it did when it finally went on May 18th. So my thought on that is no, that hurricanes, it's amazing how we don't hear about this during hurricanes. The only story I've ever heard of that was the Columbus Day storm. Remember that? And that led to the Miller doc. And that was, of course, espoused by Linda Newton Perry,
right?
Of Bigfoot bullshit who.
Yeah, well, finding the trackway. He's got a good point here. I doubt if there's a Sasquatch in the Everglades in one parish that its remains would ever be found. And I don't know if they're actually could live very well in the Everglades.
Why not? Why not?
I mean, because you're in water all the time.
Well, Everglades is not all water, not in the least bit. But you got to understand that the Everglades is rainforest. Its technical designation is rainforest, and the United States is one of those strange countries where we have every single type of geographic feature that the rest of the planet has. We have deserts, we have rainforests, which is the Florida Everglades. We have, your forests, we have steppes, we have grasslands, prairies, tundras, steppes, and the whole spiel.
Yeah.
But you got to understand that, how many species of primates live in rainforest? A lot.
Right.
You think about Malaysia, you think about South America, you think about Africa, and all of these locations have very vast amounts of primates, and they get hit with a very vast amount of weather as well. Like Southeast Asia gets hit with typhoons all the time, but yet these populations still maintain and live and carry on. So
yeah, I guess we got to keep in mind this is not the first time. It's not their first rodeo. They've been through this probably several times before.
Walter says, Kroll says, Steve, since you think this happens every year, what do they think they do during this type of event? That is very hard to understand. I don't think we even know that of other animals necessarily, because when a natural disaster hits, we are not in the mode to say, well, let's watch the animals. We're in the mode of let's get our sight and go. That's our mode. And we're not in the equipment. If we leave equipment to watch behaviors, it's going to get washed away or destroyed in the disaster. So if you're lucky enough to catch any of these animals doing what they do, one would probably say what they probably do is they probably find areas that they consider safe and they hunker down, as what most animals do. I mean, even though, there was forest fires in California, wildfires that ravaged whole sections and millions of acres of forest. It didn't wipe out the animal population, and the population came right back once the fire was out. So, you have to kind of look at it like how do we deal with it? Well, we either do one of several things. And think about it. We either shelter in place, we fortify what we have and shelter in place. We move to another area that's safer, or we're just plain idiots and do nothing. I don't think the latter goes against any instinct.
Yeah, that's against the survival instinct, right? And animals are going to tend to be
that is pride overriding survival instinct there, which is something unique to Homo sapiens. Pride. Although there may be other primates that have that pride thing, and we just haven't kind of deciphered into it. So I think that is going to be the same in a hurricane situation. Like for example, the same thing with tornadoes and hurricanes. Bigfoot could take refuge in dense protected forests. Now, if there's some thick rainforest in the glades that is, maybe higher ground, or it may be a little swampy, it may be a little bit damp, maybe this is where the Bigfoot actually does climb a tree in the rare instances. Right?
I would certainly think so. Yeah.
Right. But they could take refuge in dense protected forests where the trees may shield it from the worst of the winds and debris. The thick foliage might also provide cover and protection against flying objects. Not unidentified flying objects, flying objects. Let me just make that clear for all our UAP fans out there. So, that's just one idea. I mean, if they're in other areas, there may be, like maybe the Oklahoma or the Plain States, where they're or Tornado Alley per se, they may have caves or, other areas, underground areas where they could seek shelter. I don't think they necessarily live in those areas, but they may utilize those areas. Remember, primates use things that are available to them. If they can't make them, which we're the only primates that basically fashion tools, if they can't make, if they can't use a stick or something as a tool, they will find make use of tools that are available to them.
And Steve Mick's got a question. Says,
Yeah, that's true.
isn't it possible?
I was talking more about the storm surge there, Mick. I'm sorry, what was the question there?
Says, isn't it possible that as many animals prepare for annual weather changes, so might Sasquatch vacate areas prone to annual hurricane?
Again, not being really a studier of Florida Bigfoot reports or Southern Alabama Bigfoot reports or Southern Mississippi, Louisiana, where the areas are prone to hurricanes, anything that's in that ring of the Gulf Coast there. I don't know. That would be a great area or a great area to research that. When do their sightings occur? Do they occur during hurricane season? And why you might see a drop in the number of sightings during a hurricane season. So yeah, absolutely possible. It's like during the winter times in New York, once December 15 hits, and usually we start seeing a lot of snow on the ground, stuff like that. Sighting reports in this area of New York they dry right up. So it's possible that, during a hurricane season, they may naturally know to get out of Dodge and maybe move up the coast a little bit to southern Alabama or maybe the Panhandle, which is less likely to be devastated like the peninsula of Florida. So great question. Great point.
Kaiju Ninja and Finding the Trackway was having a little conversation here that I think is relevant. Kaiju Ninja says, Trackway, I was thinking about maybe the hurricane could throw them around, thus more chance of finding a possible body. And that makes sense. Of course,
but
these animals.
Here's the issue with finding a body in a place like the Florida Everglades or along the coastlines per se. You do have other animals that exist there,
right,
that eat
lunch. Yeah.
Right. Now, it's true. An alligator likes its prey live. It likes to take its prey live. So I don't know. It's a good point, but don't forget what happens when there's a storm surge. That surge retreats back out to the ocean.
Right.
So if there's a body in that surge, it's going to go out to the ocean and bye-bye evidence. So,
well, we do see animals that are killed in natural disasters. And even though that, they've got that survival instinct, it still happens. So it's always a possibility that it could happen. I don't know if I would, bet the farm on it, but it could happen.
And then you're going to understand that in the rainforest, in that rainforest type of climate, things decompose at a much more rapid rate than they would, say, a body dropping in Kentucky or New York or any place like that, because the extreme heat, the humidity just breaks down everything. Yeah. And it's not uncommon, like Brian Laundrie, when they look for him. I mean, he was gone less than a week, and when they found his body, it was severely decomposed. There was even that case in Kentucky of that guy that when he was missing less than a week as well, and he was picked to death by buzzards. Right. They found him in parts,
multiple pieces. Yeah.
Right, because the birds that predate were. And you got to understand that Florida has a huge bird population, too, including birds that eat carrion, or will, scavenge dead animals for meat.
Well, to me, it's always the crocodilators. That's what I'm scared of in Florida. Yep. Those things, Once they get a hold of you, that's it. They can eat you.
Well, what gators like to do is they grab their prey, they roll with them, and then they put them down low, and they actually kind of bury them or place them under rocks.
Tenderize them. Yeah.
Tenderize them, and then they'll go back and they'll consume them.
Yeah.
And then you got to think about if a body moves out to the ocean, then you're dealing with other types of animals such as sharks that will predate on them as well. But sharks don't care if it's alive or dead. If it's bleeding or it's dead and it's decomposing, a shark can smell that, and right there.
Check out Brian Wolf. Was wondering if the skunk ape would feed on the pythons during the winter months in Florida.
Well, here's an interesting thing. I don't think so. And the reason why our pythons are not indigenous to that area, I mean, they're there because of Hurricane Andrew. A lot of people will, the pets were released. That's not the case. That was the original thought that so many people were releasing their pet Burmese pythons that they didn't want anymore. And then the numbers they were having were just like way too many. And then they realized that there was a Burmese python sanctuary that got wiped out, and there was over 1,000 missing snakes out of Hurricane Andrew. And so it washed them all out into the Everglades. And they found each other, and they created a breeding population. But I don't know, because Burmese python up until Hurricane Andrew was not a typical food source. It would be kind of like giving an orange to a New York Bigfoot.
Right.
It's not something they would readily recognize. Yeah. It would you can bring a coconut to a big one. The Bigfoot isn't going. And that's another way to feather out bullshit artists as well. Is if somebody brings out a can of, say, mackerel or fish to a Bigfoot, in say in Oklahoma or Texas, are they going to recognize that as being a food source because it smells horrible? They may not. The whole thought of peanut butter is foreign. It'd be foreign to them.
Yeah. You
want to bait them with the natural resources that surround them: berries, greens, stuff like that.
Yeah,
it would be like giving a Bigfoot a bunch of radishes.
Right. I don't think they're very trusting. I don't think people leave the gifting stuff out and leave certain foods for them.
Well, again, if I went to a foreign country and somebody left me a bowl of mystery meat in front of me, would I just go, "Oh, okay, let me eat that," right?
Yeah.
I mean, like poking at it. Well, I can't identify it. I'm not eating it.
Right. What is this?
Right.
Not
so
chicken.
You got to kind of think that's how primates think. Now, there are other animals that don't think like that. Dogs don't think like that. They, okay, it's something I can eat. All right, it smells like food. I'll eat it. Right. That's why they get in trouble and eat things that they shouldn't at times. And all animals do that. But guess what? Primates don't. Primates are very particular. They will look at something and go, this is not food. I'm not going to eat it. Right. But you may take something, if this is foreign to a dog or foreign to another animal, they may sniff it. They may try licking it. They may put it in their mouth. And then they realize it's not food. But if it was a biological substance, they would probably eat it.
Yeah. I think a bear will probably try to eat about anything. There's been lots of reports of them eating trail cameras or trying to eat a trail camera because something about the acid in there.
If there was rice wine, involved, but I did eat a bowl of mystery meat in Korea. Why, Brian? Why does that not surprise me?
Ugh. No, yeah.
Well, exactly. And what is happening, they probably would not eat what they do not know.
Right.
And truthfully, during the Kinderhook creature flap back in the 1980s, Bruce Hallenbeck was testing They had his grandmother at his grandmother's property. She kept seeing these things hanging around, and he decided to bait. He took the birdhouse off the stand that was in the middle of the yard. And one day he would put fruit up there and the fruit would disappear. He would put some vegetables that would disappear. He put some meat up there that would disappear. And then one time he decided to put a pizza up there. Whole box of pizza, stuck it up there. And he found the box off in the yard to the back of the yard. Pizza was gone, but there's the box. He opens up the box, which looked like it had been ripped open a little bit. He opens up the box and not a single slice was taken. The pizza was in there intact.
Right.
And that's a great example. Didn't know what it was. Well, I've never seen this before. Now, if you put a slice of pizza out there in your backyard today, a coyote runs along, a raccoon, or whatever, they're going to grab that sumbitch and going to eat him.
Yes.
Right? That's the way they think. Like I say, Bigfoot's having a more complex primate mind is like, I don't know what this is. I don't know if I should be eating it, so I'm not. And that was a great friggin' experiment he did. And and of course Bruce has been on the show before, and I did manage to I did manage to pick up his book, new book, The Kinderhook. Yep.
Right.
Yep. So another great book, which is Kinderhook is about 45 miles to the south of me. So,
well, Roy Longley said another way to think about this is that these massive storms could be a nutritional boom to Sasquatch, with lots of wildlife stirred up and potentially moved into concentrated areas. And that makes perfect sense because most of the wildlife that's in the coastal areas is going to be heading inland into the denser forested areas where the Sasquatch would be, or as they call them, the skunk apes.
Hang on, I got to order the office assistant. Get in your chair. Get in your chair.
He's probably waiting for his treat.
Yep. Hey, take over for one quick second with the question.
Yeah.
Hello to Tim Vogel. Good to see you, Tim.
Yeah.
I am going to go fix him up real quick.
Go ahead, man. We got to take care of the office assistant. And yeah, Brian, bears go after the PVC plastic because it smells like an ant colony. Same with the refrigerator insulation. That's what it was, Brian. There's some type of acid in the plastic that they smell, and they think it's an ant colony in there, so they're going to go after it. But yeah, lots of. I've seen some trail cameras videos on YouTube actually that show the bear walking up to the trail camera, and you can see his nose come up to it, and then next thing you know, you hear crunch, crunch, pop. He's actually biting the trail camera. So yeah, pretty good. Oh wow, that looks like bacon.
Yeah, the office assistant is getting bacon. And he's over there looking at me very intently. There you go, sir. Anyway, yeah, I mean, I have the TV in the living room muted. It's still, playing. I was watching Reed Timmer on YouTube. He's been driving around and giving reports via phone to different weather organizations. And as he's out there driving around, you could see the devastation. Like when I went out together, he was coming up on an intersection, and you could see like an avenue sign that had gotten blown off one of the posts. It's sitting in the middle of the road. So yeah, they're getting.
Oh man, I hate that.
Well, that is very good to know. Jen's office assistant was having a little bit of a tenderfoot when he was out in New York. But
yeah, we got to take care of our pups.
That's it. So we talked about volcanic eruptions. What else could we talk about here?
There's like alkaline batteries and refrigerator inflation found in the trackway.
Extreme cold.
Anything that's going to an ant colony.
And again, I think that that's where you may see them. Well, like I said, in New York, we think they move over to the deciduous pine forest where there's a lot of fir trees. They provide some cover from the snow, keeps the ground a little more clear of the snow accumulation.
Right.
And they do make great ways to cover up. Walter, thank you so much.
Oh, Walter, man, thank you, Walter. We really appreciate that. You're too kind.
I wish we could play a little graphic or a sign, but StreamYard doesn't have that feature.
Mm.
But
But I think what you were talking about, where they kind of like retreat to the pine forests, I think that's a very sound theory. Uh, Lots of it was especially in thickened pined areas where it keeps the snow off the ground, and not only that, but you have a nice bed of pine needles around, and it makes the ground really soft. And if I had to sleep on the hard ground, I think I'd rather sleep on top of pine needles if it was me.
I was going to shoot another member video tomorrow, but it's supposed to rain all day, so we'll see. You know, now I'm hearing a report that it may stop raining by 7 a.m. So we'll check. Yeah, and Mick, I tend to agree with that as well.
I do.
Pizza smells good, but it may be such a foreign thing, and it may have tasted it, and it's not used to like warm or congeal, so it may not attribute that necessarily to. Well, like think about a pizza and how complex the layering of flavors is on there. You've got cheese and Parmesan, and you got oregano and Italian seasonings and sauce, and the ingredients that go into a crust. It probably was like, this tastes weird, and I just didn't want it.
Yeah, it would be different, but Steve, I can think back and remember the first time I ever had a slice of pepperoni and mushroom pizza, and I was like, "Oh my god, what have I been missing all my life?" This is outstanding. But pizza to a Sasquatch, that would be pretty shocking compared to pine bark.
Yes.
Or something of that nature, or raw meat, whatever.
I believe it or not, my favorite pasta is actually angel hair.
Yeah, me too.
I like that nice, very thin, light.
Yeah. When would they ever taste cheese?
I don't know.
Never.
It's
I don't know.
that is. Hold on.
Hmm.
That is sacrilege, Bill. I can tell you're not Italian. That if you put pineapple, it's no longer on it. It's no longer a pizza.
Oh man. Okay. We're talking about food now.
It's a fruit pie, damn it.
Well, I'll tell you what.
It's a fruit pie with tomato sauce and cheese on it. That's what it is.
There is something called a Hawaiian spam melt. And it is a slice of spam with a pineapple ring on top on a hamburger bun. And then on the top of that, you put cream of mushroom soup. You place it, build it together when you're on your bun, wrap it up in tin foil. Oh, yeah, you got to have cheese too on there. You wrap it up in tin foil, place it in the oven for like 15 minutes, just long enough to melt the cheese. And you would not believe how good that is. And you would think that sounds so weird. Pineapple, spam, and pineapple, spam, and cream of mushroom soup. But it's good. It's good.
See, the problem with laying out a board, and this is what gets me, I've actually seen a prominent researcher do this. They put out this bunch of stuff on a log, these melons and different things. And the next day they came back and go, oh my goodness, there was no trail camera on the thing, which bothers me to no end. But like they were like so excited because something took the melon and something took that and something took that. Look, it like how do you know that's Bigfoot doing that? It could be
Right.
anything. A raccoon will come along. Oh, or
Yeah, deer.
even a coyote will eat fruit and plant matter.
Our Yorkies love watermelon. It's weird, and especially deer. If you leave a melon out in the woods somewhere, kind of leaving a bait for Sasquatch deer. If they find it, they will eat that watermelon. They love it. They'll deer eat. They love pumpkins. Pumpkin.
Yeah.
Who would have thought? But yeah, we had Dad grew pumpkins one year in the field, and we had a tough time keeping the deer out of them. They love them for some reason. Something about the taste, I don't know. My wife loves pumpkins if it's cooked, but not me.
Yeah, now I want pizza too.
Yeah.
I want a pizza with extra cheese, pepperoni, and bacon.
Hey man, I could go for a good pepperoni and mushroom pizza 24 hours a day, anytime. I'm fine with it. Breakfast, lunch, or dinner. That's fine.
Or a sausage pizza with peppers and onions on it.
Yeah, I can live with that. Why do we always get back to talking about food? I don't understand that.
Hey, Brian, I will catch up with you tomorrow, sir. Sorry, I was in my sleeping habits have been very weird lately. Like I will go to bed at 3:00, be up at 7 in the morning, and I will stay up till about 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and then it's time for my nap.
Yeah.
And that's the way exactly, Brian. What would Sasquatch do? Well, I'll tell you what he wouldn't do. He wouldn't put pineapple on pizza.
Oh.
Um,
Well, I wonder if you took and set out a bunch of pizzas in the woods, and one of them was the Hawaiian style with the pineapple on it. If that's the only one left, then you know that they don't like it.
Left. You'll be sitting out on your back porch, and all of a sudden that Hawaiian pizza box will go flying right at your head.
You bring it back.
I guess it don't like Brian pizza. It chucked it.
Oh man.
So, well, those are my natural disasters that I wanted to cover tonight.
There's always the chance of a body recovery from one of these.
Yes. That's right. Mick will eat it. Give it to Mick. Oh, we got all these pizzas we're testing a Sasquatch out on. And then all of a sudden Mick runs up. Oh, hang on a second. This Hawaiian is mine.
Oh my goodness. Pineapple is great. Jalapenos, cheese, and anchovies, great. Now, Lord, I don't know. Now I could deal with the jalapenos and not the anchovies. I'm not crazy about those. But the wife is. She loves them. She loves anchovies.
Well, you want to hear a funny story is me and the dispatcher, when I was a supervisor down at the ambulance, we would get pizza, but we would always get it with anchovies.
Yeah.
You know why?
You liked it salty? Oh.
If there was a call, nobody would steal our pizza.
Oh. That makes sense. It makes sense. Yeah.
And we ordered chicken wings. The poor sumbitch that ate one of those would have to wear asbestos underwear for the next morning.
Oh, hot stuff.
Because we always get the atomic wings.
Right.
We'd eat those. We eat them and we would be sweating. But
yeah. When you get done with it, your lips are so hot, feel like you kissed the devil.
Yep.
Oh,
and the next morning, you felt like you passed one too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
I like spicy food to a point, but when it gets to where my eyes are watering and stuff, and sweat pops out on my forehead. That's a little bit beyond the point. I do like spicy food. And I thought I could eat spicy food. I really did, because I used to eat jalapeno peppers, the pickled ones in the jar. You get them whole, and I could crunch and eat, 4 or 5 in a row, not even think about a drink or a glass of water. I was fine. And so I thought, hey, man, I can eat hot stuff.
Now,
And then I married this Thai woman, and she cooked a plate of curry for me. And I took 2 bites of that, and I said, oh, no. Oh, no, this is too hot for me. I can't do this. No, too hot.
And now something new that's coming. I know Bill mentioned hot garlic parm wings. Oh, delicious. But now they have hot honey wings, which are excellent as well.
Sweet and spicy.
Mm-hmm.
That plays right into our what was it? Our taste pleasure center or something.
Yep. Yep. A little bit spicy, a little bit. And there's a topic for another night. Would be as well. What kind of medicinal plants would be advantageous to a Sasquatch or a Bigfoot to eat to help?
Yeah.
And that's a topic. Another one that's going to be probably another Wednesday or a Friday night, or maybe not this Friday night. We've already covered this kind of topic basis. Friday night, we'll get some evidence and we'll review some evidence. Usually we'll do the Friday night evidence reviews. Tonight we'll talk about topics, and then Saturday we'll talk about the big story, or Sunday we'll talk about the big story of the week. And but that's pretty much the discussion for tonight. It's already 9:52.
Yeah, I think about it. We need to get out of here so everybody can get back to watching the hurricane coverage. That's what I'm going to do too.
I will say this: that that video I put up, I got fired from my dream job.
Yeah, that was good. I like that. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, if nobody's caught that one out in chat, I did a
short. Yeah,
last Saturday. It's actually doing pretty well. It picked up again today for another 1,000+ views. I did that video last Saturday, and I saw this video. I'm like, oh, I got a great storyline for this one. And I worked it up, edited a little, fine tune editing and a little sound, bit of a sound change to it as well. And, did my own little bits on it. First time I've done actually a bit of comedy in front of the camera. And since, Professor McGillicuddy. But I put that out there, and it is doing phenomenally well for a video off of our channel. And if you haven't caught it, give it a watch. It's only about 15 seconds long. You'll enjoy it.
It's a cool little short. It's good. Oh man. But every now and then, Walter, Steve does a little comedy every now and then. Yeah.
Well, let me tell you something, McMahon. Anyway, we're back to Jesse. I know. I get no respect at all, Walter. The other day, my tie caught on fire. My wife tries to put it out with an axe. Yeah, I tell you, I don't get no respect at all. I went to the doctor. I said, Doc, every morning I get up, I look in the mirror, and I throw up. What's the matter with me? He says, I don't know, but your eyesight's perfect. Ah, jeez.
Lori Gibbs says, back to Sasquatch video. I'm going camping in Olympic National Forest.
Very nice. Great area. Well, Walter says we pray after we eat. Oh, yeah? My ex-wife's cooking was so bad. I used to leave the roaches dental floss so they could hang themselves. Chris, that's funny.
Oh, man. I've heard that before. Oh man, we better get out of here. Thanks you guys for hanging out with us, and thanks again, Walter, for the gift memberships.
Absolutely.
I know you guys are probably anxious to get back to the live storm coverage, as am I. So we appreciate you. If it's your first time watching, I think most of you guys are regulars here, but if it's your first time watching, hit the subscribe button, punch the like on your way out. We appreciate you. And it helps. It helps the channel. It really does.
Yep. And listen, folks, if you're out there catching this either on
Right.
Spotify, Audible, any of those things, let's all take a big deep breath. Let's say a prayer for our Floridians.
Yes.
And anybody who's affected by the last couple of hurricanes as well. I mean, Asheville, South Carolina, oh my Lord, what's going on there is travesty. All I can say is that your prayers are out there for you. We're out there for you. Be safe, guys. We're all thinking about you. And that's why I'm kind of if you notice, I'm a little throttled back today a little bit. I'm not as rambunctious as I normally am. But anyway, everybody hang tight, hang tough, and we'll see you in 48 hours for our Friday night show, Friday Night Bigfoot. Until then, everybody stay safe, be well, keep healthy. God bless, and God bless Florida. We'll catch everybody Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on Squatch-D TV, youtube.com/@SquatchDTV. We'll see y'all in a bit. Love y'all.
We thank you for being here with us on Squatch-D TV. If you haven't taken the time yet, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And oh yes, hit that notification bell too. We don't want you to miss anything. If you really like our content, you should consider becoming a member, and it's really inexpensive and a great way to support not only the show, but honest Bigfoot research. Everyone have a great week. Be safe and God bless. We will see you all here next time on Squatch-D TV. Keep on squatching.